One morning the captain wake, he wake the boatman wake, he wake the bowman wake, the paddling man. All I want is a long and strong is too much for me. Long and strong is eternity.
Captain, put me ashore. I don't want to go anymore. Eternity gone frighten me. Eternity gone drunken me. Eternity gone walk the belly. Eternity are too much for me. Eternity.
Captain, put me ashore. I don't want to go anymore. Eternity gone frighten me. Eternity gone drowned in me. Eternity gone walk me belly. Eternity gone too much for me. Eternity. Grow up in me moon, bam, bam, me not dead. Me not dead yet, grow up in me moon, bam, bam, me not dead, dead, not dead yet, me not dead, not dead yet, me not dead yet, answer by me, I bam, bam, me not dead yet, answer by me, I bam, bam, me not dead. Mr. Cap, me not dead yet, bam, bam, me not dead. Mr. Cap, me not dead yet, bam, bam, me not dead, bam, bam, not dead yet, bam, bam, me not dead, bam, bam, not dead yet, bam, bam, me not dead yet, pass and pray for me, bam, bam, me not dead yet, pass and pray for me, bam, bam, me not dead. Me not dead yet, Bella told for me, bam, bam, me not dead. Me not dead yet, Bella told for me, bam, bam, me not dead. Follow me, pass and pray for me. Me not dead yet, Bella told.
This is attorney Shellen Washington, owner and founder of the Washington Law Firm, located at 455 Utica Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. We're specialized in medical malpractice, personal injuries, matrimonial law, and landlord and tenant. If you're in need of legal representation, please give us a call today. The number to call is 718-877-3100. Consultation is free at no cost to you, so call us today to see if we can be of any assistance to your legal needs. Again, the phone number to call us is 718-877-3100.
If you are looking to have your statutory declaration, affidavit of income, identity, damage or lost passport, lost license, tenancy agreement, agreement of settlement, power of attorney, last will and testament, and certification of documents, then you need to visit the Alistair Collins firm, located at the Killian Mall, 162 Lamaha Street in Georgetown, between Camp and Waterloo Street. Alistair Collins is a commissioner of oaths and a justice of the peace. Make certain you visit him or call for more information at 649-6410 or 685-6448 or 503-1451. And there's adequate parking available. Go down to the Alistair Collins firm and have all of your legal issues settled and brought to the fore. Alistair Collins firm. Contact them at Alistair Collins firm.
All right. Hey, guess what? Because of the new setup, we just I was just watching Tom's facial expression. That what is folk songs of Guyana, and it's
Possum,
actually saying,
Possum, pray for me. Possum, pray for me.
do you have you recognize anything from that song?
Well, it kind of goes along with. I don't recognize it, but I will say this: listening to the lyrics, it reminds me of my favorite Bible passage, man. And this is
Which
it.
is?
It is better to be a living dog than a dead lion.
Oh, well, good. You're onto something. It's saying, "Me not dead yet. Me not dead yet."
Right?
Me not dead yet.
Exactly. Exactly. As long as you're still alive, there's still hope.
Me not dead yet.
Me not
And
dead yet.
that is what one of our funniest guys out in Guyana, comedian Henry Rodney. There was a news earlier on social media, especially coming from the PPP mouthpieces on social media. And I ran with it because it came out from NCN, the taxpayers network out there in Guyana, where hundreds of millions of dollars being spent. They just ran with that propaganda that popular comedian Henry Rodney has passed away, but that is incorrect. I was just in touch with his daughter and his daughter-in-law, and I offer my apologies for running with the story as well on my page. So I apologize to all the family members and friends and colleagues of Henry Rodney, who is currently in ICU. And so I'd like to take this time to wish him a speedy recovery. So that's Henry Rodney, a comedian. Me not dead yet. I mean, he's not dead.
No.
So let's get ready with tonight's program. It's Wednesday. It's the 6th day of April, 2022. Lots of things have happened since. I know you took the day off last week because you're a bit under the weather. I hope you're feeling much better tonight. How are you?
I'm great, man. I'm great. You know, back to normal. Oh, finally.
How does it feel to be back to normal?
You know what? Normal these days is kind of weird. So it's but like I said earlier, I'm alive, man. So there's lots of hope, and all of us who are alive, and all of you who are listening, there's lots of hope. If you're not if you are alive, there's lots of hope. Let's take advantage of it, right?
Indeed. Let's take advantage. Hey, Tom, I got to compliment you on your studio, man. Gosh.
Oh, thank you. I built it myself, man, little by little.
I got to do
Little by
something.
little.
I got to do something about mine, you know?
I'll give you some tips, man. After the show, I'll give you some tips.
Give me a call. I need some tips indeed. And yeah. So I'm looking at some of your comments. Good evening to all of you. Do share the link, spread the word that we're on. It's what we call a serious show. We discuss serious matters indeed on 107.1 FM. Thank you, Evan Gladwin Graham is saying we join with all of you guys to wish Henry Rodney a speedy recovery. A speedy recovery to Henry Rodney. Henry Rodney, Tom, is the kind of comedian, when he says something about you, you can sit there and no matter who you're sitting with in the audience, you're just going to laugh at his joke.
Mm-hmm.
All of his jokes.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to walk up on stage and as we say in Guyana, ring a box in him. In other words, slap him, right?
Exactly.
What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, you know, I'll tell you, one of my favorite comedians, and he's not a guy that a lot of people talk about, but his name is Tommy Davidson. Okay, stand-up comedian. Same way. He's just the kind of guy. He doesn't even have to say anything. Just the expression on his face alone will make the entire place just die laughing. Right? I like those guys. Those guys make the world go round, man. Without them, the world would be a pretty sad place.
So wait a minute. That guy just walks on stage and that's it. People just start laughing.
Just the look, just the facial expressions alone are enough.
we have a comedian in Guyana like that.
Yeah,
of course.
It's universal, man. I mean, it's one of those universal things.
Take a look, and we'll start laughing right away, including those in the audience.
Who? Oh, this sounds sarcastic. Oh, I knew it. I knew it.
Tom, lots of things happen. Here's what I want to have us start with this evening while we welcome all of our listeners all across Guyana, wherever else you are, in the U.S., in Canada, wherever you are. Let's start off with this. I'll spend just about maybe take a minute and I want you to take a good look at this state. Here's a police woman is being harassed, is being manhandled. And you'll see by who.
All right then. This what I gotta do. Get her out. Look how she throwing down herself. Wake up, bro. Broke up the man gate, man. Tonight you're under enough pain. Look, sir.
This is the thing.
Nobody gonna come when the whole commotion done.
Look, what? You put your thing.
Take your time, sir.
Everything not inside. Everything outside.
What?
All right, Tom. So basically, that policewoman, 30 years, constable, 30 years of service in the Guyana police force. She was being treated like that by her fellow policemen and women, all because she objected to being placed in another location. Your take on what you just saw there, sir?
Yeah, well, when you see that, it here's the sad thing about the state of policing right now. I'd say um, in the modern world is they they end up in a position, a lot of them, where especially if there's some abuse going on, if there isn't anyone there to make sure they're doing their jobs properly, they end up hurting the people they're supposed to protect. They end up doing things like hurting old people, hurting children, hurting innocent people. And then the people who are really dangerous, the real killers, they're nowhere to be found when those guys are on a rampage. I mean, it happens here. I just saw it in a community near where I live a couple of years ago, where there was a school shooting and the police just sat outside and just listened to shot after shot after shot after shot and didn't go in. And unfortunately, when you see that, it says, okay, these guys aren't here to protect the innocent, right? These guys are here for their own agenda. These guys are here to do things that are opposite of what policing is. I mean, that's what it looks like to me.
And I mean, just their colleagues, because we haven't seen that around the world. I'm not sure, because I heard many years ago there was a case in Buffalo, New York, where there was this arrest, a stop and search, and then the arrest of a young black guy, normal thing. And this black senior police officer, kind of like chucked her colleague and said, look, you shouldn't be doing that. She was fired. I'm not sure if you heard of that situation, but
yeah, I mean,
look at what they're doing to their colleague here, a woman who served in the Guyana police force for 30 years.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I mean that's we're at a place now where, and I've noticed it more and more, where people who are supposed to be considered the wise elders in our society and should be given respect, they're disrespected on all levels, right? And so that's what I think when I see this. Is I see someone who's worked for an agency for decades has earned the right to be treated as a human being, at the least. So when you take someone who has that type of experience in life and has gone through as many pangs and as many things as she's gone through, she deserves to be treated with the utmost respect, right? And so when she's disrespected that way, it just tells you who you guys are dealing with in Guyana in your police force, right? It's just the truth, right? And I don't want to be the guy to bring the bad message and to criticize all the time, but that's just looking at that just tells you the quality of individuals serving, right, that were involved in that. Very low quality. I'm sorry.
Also, I spoke with her yesterday. She's not yet back on the job. That incident happened late January. The police force has issued a statement saying that she's undergoing psychological or some sort of psychiatric treatment. I don't know. I spoke to the woman, and she sounds very normal, just like the acting top cop, just like most police officers, just like the politicians them in parliament. She sounds normal. But why would a police force issue such a private thing out to justify their actions? Only God knows. Now, Tom, I'm not sure if you're aware, because you do follow Guyana a lot. At least I know in the past. I'm not sure if you do. Now, you should. But this guy, Clifton Hicken, is now the acting top cop. The acting top cop. He's not the most senior person, but I know in other parts of the U.S. and so forth, whoever the mayor is comfortable with, the mayor will choose that person to become the top cop. Just like in the case of New York City, Mayor Adams chose his own top cop. But that's not the case in Guyana unless the law is followed. Now, your friend, well, I say it, Irfan Ali, has chosen this guy, controversial senior police officer, to be the acting top cop. Clifton Hickens, as you know, because you followed the Linden situation when folks were protesting back in 2012 or 2011, I believe, and 3 protesters were shot and killed. This guy, this police officer, was the commander back then. Nothing at all, no charges, no nothing, but lots and lots of controversy. How do you take this sort of individual becoming the acting top cop? What is your take on that, sir?
Well, anytime someone gets put into a position of power that has any type of controversy around them, you would hope that the system that put them in power is a transparent one where some accountability can be brought to bear, right? Excuse me. I don't know if that's the case here. I'm not sure how transparent this was. I'm not sure if there's any kind of accountability to come here, but I will say this. There's a toxic mix that you want to stay away from. And I don't care what country you're from, right? What you want to stay away from are situations where individuals who have questionable, individuals who may not have total support of the community, where a large portion of the community has serious doubts about their integrity. When those individuals are given power, and they're given power in a way where it's not transparent, where the community can't say much, it's a toxic mix, and it's a recipe for disaster. So I will couple that with this. The PPP didn't get money with the last visit of a State Department official from us for security of the marketplace. Okay. I said before the visit of that State Department official, I said, look, she's here for money. She's here to cut checks. That's what she was there for. And she did cut some checks. I know there was some COVID money that came through. I was thinking, man, there should be some money to come to help with the security problem. That money never came from what I can see. And I've been thinking about it ever since. And I said, the only thing I can think of as to why Guyana isn't getting more money from USAID to help with the security situation in Georgetown, especially, is our government must have information that the police department and individuals heading it aren't on the up and up, or cannot be trusted, or that we have credible proof or evidence that they're doing bad things. If that's the case, then guess what? No money will come at all from us at all. Now you have countries like Jamaica who are getting $16 million a year for security, just for police. that money is a pool of money that a lot more could be coming to Guyana. It's not. I think this is the reason why, and I'll bet this was a discussion that was being had with these USAID individuals, and I'll bet there have been discussions with our ambassador about this individual, and I'll bet warnings were given to the PPP and said, hey, if you put this guy in position and it's not a process that's transparent, okay, you're going to have problems getting aid from us to help with your security issues. I think that could be what is going on here. So who you have as a leader in your police department has a total impact on what kind of money you can get from countries like the United States of America. We can't provide assistance if you put someone in charge who isn't legit. I'm sorry. That's just the bottom line. So the money's not coming. It tells me the people in charge are not legit. It tells me this selection may not have been a good selection, especially because Guyana needs the money. So put a guy in that's legit, who everyone can trust, so that you can get the money you need to secure your capital city. Come on. It's pretty easy.
Pretty easy indeed. He's now the acting top cop, and the process, according to the main opposition, the coalition, has not been a fair process. It's not. And the PNC, the PNCR has said that they're going to take it to court because there wasn't a fair process at all, and it's not legal. In fact, Hickens' appointment, according to the PNC, is unconstitutional, and PNC makes up the bigger half, so to speak, of the coalition. However,
well, you know what, Mark, stop
yeah,
right there.
go ahead.
Didn't Jack Dale blame the minority party for why things didn't go right with that USAID official that came in? Wasn't there something in part of his press conference afterwards where he was blaming the minority problem for something that they were doing?
Yeah, he was blaming. He usually does that. He blames the opposition for everything, every single thing in Guyana.
Maybe them bringing up issues with this selection for the top cop. Maybe that's maybe that's something that he feels they're at fault for bringing up as an issue, and maybe that's why there isn't more money coming in to help with security. And so maybe he's blaming them, but the person at fault is the people selecting this guy.
Exactly.
Select someone who's more legit. Come on, man.
Yeah, he was appointed after Miss Feinstein left. He was appointed a week, 2 weeks after she left. But look, I mean, let me get your take on this. We have a coalition comprising of PNC, PNCR, AFC, and a couple other very, 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 very small parties. And so the leader of the AFC in this coalition, in the opposition coalition, Kemraj Ramjatan is saying, hey, we like this guy. We think he's okay. The other half of the coalition is saying, hey, we don't think this process was fair. It's unconstitutional. What is your take on that sort of bickering and, two different takes from the opposition?
Well, it says to me that this is a hot topic issue where Mr. Kemraj, I think what he's trying to do is use this issue as a leverage point for something else that he wants, or that his part of the opposition wants.
God in heaven knows what he wants.
That's what it sounds like to me, right? It sounds like this is something he knows is important, and he is going to use this as leverage for something. I don't know what it is, but he's using it for something.
You know, Tom, I don't know what he can use that as leverage for, other than the fact that it's a high possibility that he and Hickens are friends. This was when Kemraj was Minister of Home Affairs in Guyana, of course, and sitting next to him is Hicken. And the other side was the then acting top cop, David Ramnarine. But in this photo, I just decided to have our operator clip it off to see Kemraj Ramjatan and his friend Hicken. And so the conflicting views coming out of the opposition, the coalition that is, especially the AFC faction. I don't know what to say about these guys, but how do you take any senior officer, an acting top cop, a commissioner of police, whatever it is, who has failed polygraph tests and all these manner of things? Is that a big concern in DC?
I mean, of course it is, right? That's a horrible concern. That's the big problem you're running into, and I'll go back to this again. You need money, right? Guyana needs money, a lot of it, and that money goes towards things like salaries that will attract candidates who can pass polygraphs. Like that's how it works. So, how do you generate revenue so that you can pay people more money to work in these positions, people who are more qualified, people who may have, college educations, right? Or people who may have a lot of experience, maybe in another police force, in a neighboring country, or who knows? The bottom line is, if you have the money, then you can recruit the talent from the outside if you want. You can train the talent from the inside if you want. But the bottom line is you can actually do something if you have the money. that's the issue here. Is
You know, Tom, but the Guyana police force, regardless of its situation, its current situation, they still do have a lot of honorable men and women, qualified, but those are the ones who are being stifled. And the PPP is bent on putting their stooges and their puppets up there, obviously to do their biddings.
But
But a lot of
that's why I say you need the money, Mark. You got to have the money, right? Because what happens is if you pay higher salaries, then what's going to happen is, first of all, a lot of the people who are trash, who shouldn't be in there, they're going to be rubbed out just through internal competition. Why? Because people, when they know that they do a good job, that they get a raise, they're going to want to do good jobs, right? It's a thing where competition can rub out a lot of your problems, okay? And how do you generate that competition even on the inside? You have to do it with the money. That's the key.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. It should be cause for concerns. A lot of senior officers who were in different agencies, heading different departments, have failed a polygraph test. One of them, who now heads Special Branch, and Special Branch says it's a secret service agency headed by a guy who is notorious for beating up protesters. Allegations of him shooting protesters and all these manner of things. I don't know what has Guyana gone to, man. I just don't know. When you hear these things, though, especially about these sort of these so-called senior policemen, how does that make you feel as an outsider, Tom?
Well, it makes me think about what's happening in Ukraine with these Russian soldiers. I told you at first in the beginning when we first saw that tank run over the guy in the car, the civilian, and I said, "Oh, this looks like this guy, this Russian soldier. He drank a little bit too much the night before. He got mad that there was some opposition and he wanted to send a message. He just started running people over randomly in the streets, right? Well, that's what you've got now in a lot of places around the world, where there's just no respect for human life. There's no decency. And so people in positions of power feel like it's fine to give an order to shoot people with live ammunition who are protesting. That's okay to do in their minds. They don't see a problem with anything like that. It's okay to gun down civilians. It's okay to gun down little old ladies. I mean, this is where we're at today, is we have people in power who are okay with these things, and it's being accepted in leadership all over the world. So it's very worrisome when you see a situation like the one you see in Guyana right now, because what this is going to lead to is, especially with what we see coming around the corner. I told you I want to talk about what Janet Yellen, the Fed chair, was speaking about. There are going to be huge, enormous economic consequences because of this war in Ukraine. And those consequences are going to lead to problems in Guyana. And when these problems come and there's a squeeze on society, law and order has to prevail. Well, if the people in charge don't believe in law and order, the people in charge think that, hey, you do whatever you want to do to get the situation the way you want to get it, you're going to have chaos, and it's going to be terrible. So I hope you guys get it fixed quickly, because there are some dark days coming around the corner here.
Very, very dark days. We see that those who are in Guyana, they are experiencing that every day. Gosh, I don't know what else we can say, but let's move over to this particular situation, Tom, with the IDB and what your good friend Senator Marcus Rubio has done. The IDB rejected, they vetoed with their power a loan to get the shore-based project going in Guyana. However, the IDB found out that, look, this project is being funded by some of the guys are actually alleged to be money launderers and smugglers and all manner of things. You have done extensive work in that area, the smugglers and the whatever else. What is your take on what Marco Rubio is attempting to do here?
Look, man, anytime Marco Rubio gets involved with something like in Guyana, something's not right. I'm just telling you. I'm just telling you something's not right. So I told you before about this IDB loan. Look, these things are going to happen to countries like Guyana. Okay, you're going to have that happen because the loan process is arduous and it's really hard to find everyone like within the investment group. It's hard to find everyone on the up and up and with a perfectly clean record, right? Like it's just hard. So you're going to run into these kind of problems. For Marco Rubio to jump into this, I wonder what. Look, I will say this: Senator Rubio has an interest in Venezuela, big time, and he's, from what I could tell, he's even willing to support like close to military action in that country. I think. I think he might. I'm not gonna say he'd push for it, but if the option was there, I think he'd be one of the people that would support something like that. Okay, like that's how far out he is on not liking Venezuela and the regime in there, in my opinion. So with that said, I would think this IDB loan might have something to do with someone or something, some entity that he may think in his mind isn't good for Venezuela or that regime. And if that's the case, then he's thinking like a lot of politicians in America think through the years, okay, which is, okay, we kind of don't like the fact that we have to fund some bad guys, but those bad guys are the enemy of that regime we don't like, right? So we're going to help those bad guys with these IDB loans, even though it's going to hurt a lot of people. These are bad guys because these bad guys aren't liked by the Venezuelans who we have a problem with. That could be the case here, right? That could be the case where he really doesn't care what happens to Guyana or this loan or anything else. All he knows is this helps with his push against the Venezuelans. I'm not saying that's the case here, but I would have to say, in my opinion, that's probably what's going on.
You know, this is not the first time Rubio is sticking his nose on the side and defending the PPP. People already have their reasons why he's doing it. But he did that during the course of elections as well. And I had cause to call his office directly to speak with them or send them an email to speak with them about that particular matter. They did say that that is not what the senator said. But in this situation, I was hoping that the opposition, the main opposition, would have already dispatched a letter to Marco Rubio's office to ask him what the heck is he doing? What is he saying? I just don't know. But Marco Rubio is your guy. He's a senator always in some sort of controversy. Why does he keep winning elections over and over, though?
Well, he's a good politician. He's an excellent politician, right? So, I mean, the dude, he's a really good politician, man. And he's got, he knows his constituency. He knows that all politics is local. So he always stays focused on his local constituents, man. And he does a really good job at that. And so ultimately, everyone looks at politics like it's a popularity contest because it's who gets the most votes, right? And it is sort of popularity, but there are other ways to be a good politician, to win consistently with more than just a popularity. And for him, I think he's a popular kind of guy. You can tell he was the kind of guy that in high school, he probably was on student government and pretty popular around the school and stuff, I'm sure. That's the kind of guy he is. But with that said, his fundamentals as a politician are pretty strong. And he knows what he's doing along those lines to stay in office. So that's why.
It looks to me like the kind of guy who had a deep Cuban accent too, Spanish accent that got better over the years.
Nah, man. Nah, he's a Miami boy. That's a different breed. I got to tell you. I promise you, they're different.
I got you, Tom. Let's move over to this here.
Yeah.
As you know, Irfan Ali is back in Guyana after visiting Dubai. We'll talk about that. But what is your take on this here? The Russian shoppers are literally fighting each other for sugar.
Yeah. So once the sanctions hit, it looks like sugar ran out in Russia. That's a big deal because you see they're fighting for sugar there. Well, the government, the Russian government has probably already been working on getting sugar from places that you know that they could get it from without dealing with the sanctions. And I'm thinking when Irfan Ali was in Dubai, this may have been one of the topics they spoke about, is how can they get some Gaisuco sugar out there to Russia.
Hmm. Is that what you're thinking? That they may have discussed that? There's a high
Yeah.
possibility.
Yes, I'm telling you, when you've got the Russian people all over the country fighting over sugar, okay, fighting over sugar, I'm telling you, man, like the government knows that they've got a problem there, and Guyana's a country that can produce a lot of sugar. So, and they have shown this, the PPP regime has shown that they're willing to do business with just about anybody, even during wartime. So, I'm pretty sure this was spoken about, and I'm wondering if they're putting things in place. Because think about it, sugar may become a very valuable commodity. Are the PPP, are they looking at this and realizing that there's an opportunity here? Put a little bit of money into it, and the revenue stream may be huge. Okay, the oil thing is good, but there's some agricultural options here that I think the nation of Guyana can take advantage of because of the situation in Ukraine. It's like, man, you guys can make a lot of money. Are the PPP putting you guys in a position to earn a lot of money, right, with your agricultural sector? I don't know.
Yeah, coming to think of it, because as soon as they got back to Guyana, agriculture for the PPP become now a big issue. They're putting millions and millions of dollars into agriculture. So I think you are onto something there. We heard that the installed Minister of Agriculture, they're having some big conference in 2024, if they're still in power by then. Because as you may know, they are refusing to have the elections petition heard for obvious reasons. So
Well,
yes,
here's what's worrisome, Mark, is this. We
sure.
know that they've already sold all of the forest off. So any kind of forestry sales, you can't get it now because they've sold it all off forever. The question is, have they sold off all the farmland too? Right? Like, are you going to be in a situation where you guys are going to see Chinese farmers farming your land, tilling your soil, reaping your land, reaping all the foods, the fruits, putting them on boats and shipping them away while everyone in Guyana starves? I wonder if that's the situation that they've set up here. I just wonder. I don't know if they've done that, but I know that's what China likes to do.
Hitting on the Chinese there, they love to do that indeed. But surprisingly, Irfan Ali came back from Dubai, and he was, for the most part, very, very quiet. He couldn't speak on any sort of accomplishments there at all. So you might be on to something with the sugar and the agriculture. And I've noticed someone in the comments section saying that Irfan Ali and the PPP, they're supporting Russia quietly, in a kind of like a smart way. Like, we can't put that past those political vagabonds in Guyana. But on Thursday, which is tomorrow, the vote to remove Russia from the human rights body of the United Nations is set to go for a vote. Russia is threatening any country in terms of whatever support they may have gotten from Russia, that if they join with the US and other nations to vote them out, that there will be some sort of economic consequences. What's your prediction on Guyana's vote tomorrow?
Ha ha ha. Man, I would like to say that these guys have the guts to do something that's going to really, really, really piss off a lot of people one way or the other. But I'm going to say these guys are going to abstain.
And Russia has already said that if they abstain, that they're not going to like that. Don't do it.
Well, I think they're going to abstain. I think they're going to abstain, man. I think these guys are so cowardly. They can't go one way or the other, period. They're going to abstain.
Oh, all right. So I think I may probably agree that they may go that route, which is something that they did. They voted against in terms of some bill to deal with racial harmony by the UN. And they later changed it to a yes. They voted no. And all manner of stupidity coming from that installed regime of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. Recently, Tom, I heard the U.S. ambassador there to Guyana is talking about economic diversity and so forth and so on. Something that she hasn't been talking about for a while. It's upset a lot of coalition supporters, but she seemed to be talking that language now. Some folks seem to be crediting her for the IDB loan that was rejected. And if that is the case, I say kudos to Sarah Ann Lynch, the U.S. ambassador. But now she's talking about economic diversity and good treatment of businesses, especially American businesses in Guyana. Your take on that, sir?
Well, like I told you, that is a security issue. All right. You're only going to get security if you put money into getting security. And so, look, someone in the government of Guyana has to put their foot down, and they have to make the decision, come whatever, that by a certain date they're going to have enough revenue and money to put forward a real security plan for the country, for the capital city. They have to do it, right? And so our ambassador is talking. Look, it's like, get a clue, man. Like, think about it. If our ambassador is telling you these things, like, do it. Get your security in order. Why? Because we're talking about just possibly billions of dollars coming into your country every year. Okay? Like, wake up already and do the right thing for your people, which also makes it so that you can have the kind of commerce you need to get out of the situation where you have to go for IDB loan and you have to deal with the Marco Rubios of the world. And man, forget that. Like, create your own banking institutions that can rival anybody in the world. People of Guyana can do this, but you have to start with security. That's where it begins. That's where it all begins. People have to feel like if they put an investment into Guyana, that they will be treated fair, and if they're not treated fair, that there is a way for them to get repaid what they lost wrongfully, right? That no one believes that can happen in Guyana right now. So unless you make that happen, nothing else is going to matter. It's really that simple.
Absolutely nothing else. 47 minutes after 9 o'clock, Thomas Anderson with us and 107.1 FM. Good evening to you folks on the ground listening to us via the radio. Let's say here now, usually by now, they would have been some visits by foreign diplomats to sit and talk security matters and how the Americans can give some sort of funding and also training to the Guyana police force. It has been days since this guy was selected as the acting top cop, and we have not seen, or at least I have not seen, any sort of movements from the Americans, the British, or the Canadians to meet with this guy, Hicken, the acting top cop. What's going through your mind, the absence of that sort of meeting?
Well, here's the thing. That's not the problem. The issue is that there was an opportunity to have an announcement for a big pot of money being sent to Guyana through USAID, and it didn't happen. Okay, and it didn't happen because I promise you, Mark, that there was a discussion about who they were going to put into this position. And I promise you, they told our government they're going to put this guy. And our government said, then fine, we're not going to give money. And that's why this guy's here now, because they chose him over getting aid money from us to try to help with your security issue. That's what happened. That's what I think happened. So look, man, like they have to make better decisions. I promise you, if they had told our people, if they had given a different name of someone that our government and our people would say, hey, that's a legit person right there, I think you would have heard an announcement of millions of dollars worth of aid to go towards security in Guyana. I'm pretty sure. But because it was this guy's name that was out there, no money, man. And I'm going to tell you, this is just a reality. Every single day that goes by where Guyana doesn't see a penny of money from the United States, from Canada, from the UK, when it comes to security, okay, is a day where our government is telling your people that your top cop and the other cops there, we don't believe in that. So sorry, you get nothing until that gets fixed. That's what's going on here.
This reminds me, Tom, of when the U.S. did say, the State Department did say to the then Jack Dave's government that they should not appoint Henry Green as the Commissioner of Police. Henry Green was subsequently appointed. Jack Dave said to hell with the U.S. and he appointed Henry Green as top cop, and the U.S. and Canada, I believe, and the U.K. revoked Henry Green's visas, all of his visas. I don't know what's happening in Guyana, but we do have an acting top cop in Guyana. And
well, Mark, you know what? And let me just tell you, these choices would be fine, right, if the security situation in Guyana is getting better, right? So what are we talking about here? What's happening is you have a situation where your government currently, right now, the people in charge are selecting individuals to head up security in your country who are the type of individuals who do not garner the respect from foreign governments like ours, who are more than willing to provide millions of dollars worth of aid for security. Okay, that's what's going on. So in other words, your government, they're purposefully choosing people that they know will hurt their ability to get funding for security. They're doing this on purpose. And so you have to ask yourself, are they doing this because these individuals are that good with securing the country that they don't need American money? They don't need you. They don't need anybody's help at all. They've got it covered. Well, I'm looking at the situation and it's not getting better. So it can't be that these guys are being selected because they're so great at fighting crime. No, it's getting worse. So what's going on here? They're not being selected because they're bringing in money, foreign aid. That's not happening. They're not lowering crime. So what's this about? What's it about? And they'll never tell you. They'll never tell you because what's there to say other than we're corrupt or we don't know what we're doing and we don't care what you think because we're in a position where we'll just make you go away if we don't like what you say. I mean, that's the situation. It's really lowbrow and it's sad. It's just sad.
Sad indeed. Very, very sad. Tom Anderson is my usual co-host every Wednesday right here on 107.1 FM. Tom, it is sad indeed. But in Guyana, how it operates, a lot of these senior officers seem to be in bed with drug lords and money launderers and so forth and so on. They have them as friends. And those are the people who would prefer to have their say as to who should be the top cop or not, or some other senior officers in positions. I guess, nothing has really changed in Guyana. We saw lots of changes, at least it appeared that it was heading to the in area of improvement under the previous David Granger's administration. But things have changed. They've gotten worse under this installed PPP regime. I've noticed a comment, and I'd like for you to break this down for our people, because they've been given lots of false hope that by a snap of the finger, the U.S. ambassador will be removed and all manner of things. It is way past her time in terms of her a lot of time there. She's going through an extension. Here's a question from Rita Singh. And Rita's asking, Mr. Anderson, when will Sarah, meaning the U.S. Ambassador Sarah Ann Lynch, will be removed from Guyana? Your question.
No time soon. From what I can tell, no time soon. No time soon. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm not sure, because I'm still on the fence about, the job the job she's being asked to do. It's one where if she does a good job, no one's going to really pat her on the back that much. Okay. That's just the truth. If she does a bad job, then man, like it could be really embarrassing and just ruin the rest of her life. Like could just be horrible. So I tend to feel like, there's hardly any upside to her purposefully doing a bad job. Okay. So I don't know if I don't think she's doing that. I think the job she has to do is really difficult. With that said, it's tough. It's tough to say what's really going on. It just feels like Guyana's in this place now where, so when I fish, right, I fish a lot. And what I like to look for are little areas, little bends in the water where the current sweeps over a bend. And on the back end of that bend, there's this little whirlpool that forms. And any kind of trash that comes through the water gets caught in this little whirlpool back there. And the fish like to go, they know where these little whirlpools are, and they just sit there and they just feast on all the trash that circles into that little whirlpool back there. So I just drop my bait in there, and it's just like, it's so easy, just pull up fish. Well, that's sort of what Guyana, it feels like it's in this little back part back here where there's a whirlpool and all the trash is kind of just floating in there and swirling around, and you're kind of just stuck. That's what this feels like. And it's like there's all these sharks in the water ready to pounce on anything moving. And so it just feels like a precarious position, and it just feels like there's so much potential, but things seem to be going nowhere. And it's rough, man. It's really rough. So with all that said, I think I'm still in judgment mode on the job she's doing. I can't say one way or the other right now because it's just so crazy. But with that said, I will say this. The fact that no security money's been coming, and the fact that the embassy has put out warnings and word that, hey, there's security issues in Guyana, that's a big, big red flag that the embassy is sending out, that she's sending out and saying, look, there's a problem with the government in Guyana right now and what they're doing as far as security. And it's a corruption issue more than likely. Okay. And that issue, I think, is only going to become a bigger issue as the days go on. And I don't see the PPP doing anything to make it better. So she's, as ambassador, she's heading into some rough waters here, and there's going to be some loggerheads. And I don't know where things will break, but it will be interesting to see how China plays this in Guyana, because the PPP, I believe, are going to need some help soon with some issues. And I wonder if China is going to be there to help them in relation to this security issue. And I wonder if they're going to take it and what type of form that's going to take for the Guyanese people. I don't know. But that's the kind of stuff we're looking at coming down the road here. And the job that she is doing is important for the people of Guyana, because you guys are caught in a situation now between powerful countries. You're caught in the middle in that little whirlpool, man. And there's just sharks everywhere. So I'm keeping an eye on her. I'm watching her. I'm looking at the situation. but it's hard to tell really how this is going. And to answer the question, though, she's probably not going to go anywhere anytime soon because the situation is so crazy and she has so much experience. I don't know if they're going to want to pull her out of there right now. That's my opinion.
When you say experience, all right, we're not going to get into her experience unless you want. Tom, we're looking at the time. The Vice News report is not yet out. This is the Vice News reporter who interviewed Jack Deo, and that got Jack Deo stumbling. That interview is not out as yet, man. A lot of people are just waiting.
Oh man, you just relax. These things, look. I can tell you right now, there are stories breaking right now that are big stories it was my work that made them happen. And I've been working on one of them since October 2020. And it's just now starting to break open, right? So these things take time, right? I would say relax and just let it happen because when it happens, it's probably going to be an eye-opener.
An eye-opener. All right, we'll see. Sarah Lynch, you said she's not going anytime soon. That was predicted. That was expected. All of the false hope and rhetoric and just masquerading about Sarah Lynch got to go. She will go when Biden is here. She's gone, and she's still there representing Americans' interest. And Sarah Lynch may very well be there for another 6 months or even longer. And I say 6 months because you never know. There might be a name pop up pretty soon.
Well, here's the issue, Mark. There aren't very many people asking for that job.
What do you mean? Explain it to our listeners.
So to get an ambassador, usually an ambassadorship, you usually have to ask for it. And so if there's no one asking for that job, then there's no pressure on the president's administration to have to change who's there right now, especially if the person who's there has decided that they don't want to go. If they're saying, I'll stay as long as you guys need me to stay, and no one's asking for the job, then she's gonna stay, man. That's what I think's going on.
Well, Tom, you seem to be on the right track with what's going on there. Really, Sarah Lynch is comfortable there. She wants to stay there. She's still there. She's enjoying every single thing. And, the PPP seem to be comfortable to some extent, even though.
Man, I don't think so. I've looked at her face.
I see that they're becoming a bit itchy with her.
Yeah, man. Look, it's gonna get bad because remember, see, I think what they're trying to do, they're trying to mimic India right now, and they're trying to say, we can be friends with Russia and China, and you Americans don't even worry about it. Everything's fine. Well, no, everything is not fine. Okay. And we're not good with that. I'm sorry. So, news flash to the PPP. India, they have nuclear weapons. India is a huge economy. And India is in Asia. It's out there. It's out there near China, far, far away from the Western Hemisphere. Guyana's in the Western Hemisphere, man, the backyard of the United States. So trust me when I tell you, in the PPP, you're not going to get away with behaving like India. It's with Russia. It's not going to happen, man. And so the little bit of anger everyone sees right now, the PPP and our ambassador, it's going to get a lot worse. I can promise you it's going to get way worse. Because I can tell that the PPP think that they're slick. I can tell by the way they're operating that they think they can thread the needle here. Ain't gonna happen, man. They need to wake up and realize they're gonna have to choose sides here, and it's not gonna be smart if they choose China and Russia, man. I mean, that's just the truth. I'm just telling you, that's the truth. So let's see how they play it. But I think they're gonna play it the wrong way. I think it's gonna cause a lot of friction between our ambassador and them.
Just a matter of time. Thank you, Tom. Thank you so much. But before we go, oil-rich country. Let's say tomorrow morning your kids have to go to school, you have to go to work, and this is the road that you have to use. in an oil-rich country, what will you do?
Man, I'd have to invest in a Hummer
Or a Lamborghini?
or a Jeep. I know, right? I need it all. This is why when you see certain people, I see people who move up to the United States from places like Guyana, and they always have to drive a 4x4. And I'm like, why you have to, you don't need a 4x4 in a city. And it's like they have to have it. It's because of those roads.
But take a look at this. A little child is either going to school or coming from school, and look the condition, and these guys live in big mansions and all manner of thing, driving Hummer, Lamborghini, you name it. I don't know, oil-rich country. But let me show you another photograph, Tom, before we go. This is where people live. Look at a little girl heading home from school. And this here, look at this road. This is leading to a cemetery, right? Where obviously people don't live there, right? Unless somebody takes up a little night shelter there or something like that. This is where people dead. This is where they are. And here is where people live. I don't know, Tom.
Well, it looks like your city planner has some issues. With that said, I'll say this, right? And I've said it before many times, Mark. You know, it bewilders me. It bewilders me how I don't understand how it's possible for Guyana to be so wealthy as far as natural resources go, and to have so small of a population. It's not like Guyana is overrun with human beings everywhere. The population really isn't that big. So you've got all these natural resources and a pretty small population. And I just scratch my head and I wonder, like, why can't this country just get the basic services in line? Because think about it, man. If you guys can just get your basic services down, security, roads and bridges, electricity, internet, water, sewer. If you can do those things, garbage. If you can do those things right there, okay, and do them half decent. You don't have to be masters at it. Just do those things half decent. Guyana will explode economically. I just don't understand why those things aren't focused on. It's a head scratcher to me.
Head scratcher indeed. Tom, I don't know, you've said a heck of a lot this evening. Painting that picture, a corrupt country, a country that is overrun by corrupt people, and not the ordinary citizens. Some of them sit in the private sector, a lot of them in so-called government, just corrupt businessmen, all manner of things. For a while, though, Tom, I've been hearing of a long list of persons who, this is just not the long list, mind you, a long list of persons who ought to have been extradited from Guyana to the U.S. That list has been existing for over 10, 15 years, Tom. You think we're going to hear or see some shakeup anytime soon on the...
No, but I just thought of something that's interesting, by the way,
Sure.
Okay? Think about this for a second. Anonymous, the hacking group, they hacked over 1 million emails out of the Russian state media system, right? I don't know if there are any young Guyanese out there who have any kind of computer skills that can go through databases and search through them. But I wonder how many Guyana government emails are in there. I'm curious. I'll bet you may find a lot. That might be an interesting little thing for someone to look at, I think.
Interesting indeed. We'll talk about that. Hopefully some youngsters can get cracking and get it going. You know what, Tom? We're looking at that time, 9 minutes after 10 o'clock. And it's always a pleasure to have you on. Lots of things happening. Look at this question before we go. Should Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas resign?
man, lifetime appointment. Look, that guy, man. You know, it's really hard to watch. Look, I won't even talk about politics here. His political leanings, it doesn't even matter what his political leanings are, right? But there comes a time when you have to call something what it is. And this guy and his wife, man, they're on a path and on a road that totally dismantles everything that he has claimed throughout his career and his life that he supports and believes in, right? And that's the sad part, is that they are totally, as a married couple, I'm going to put them both together in this. They are destroying his legacy. They're destroying everything he claims that he believed in. Yeah, man. And for what? And for what? Like, they have really gone off the deep end. And for what reason? You know, because let me tell you something. There are political activists out there who it's their job to get out in the street with a bullhorn and activate people. Okay? That's not the job of a Supreme Court justice. Sorry. That's not the job of the wife of a Supreme Court justice. I'm sorry. Let other people do that stuff. These guys, man, it's beyond the pale where this has gone. And yeah, I mean, at the least, he's going to have to recuse himself from everything related to January 6th. At the least.
Lots of cases too.
Right? I mean, come on, man. It's just ridiculous.
I smell impeachment down the road. Maybe the first. I haven't done our research to see if all the and the funny thing is too, man, he happens to be the first black guy to sit there.
No, it was no. We had what
Thurgood Marshall. Sorry.
Yeah.
Thurgood Marshall.
Yeah.
But
nah, man. Yeah. Look, at the end of the day.
Well, he is nothing compared to Thurgood Marshall's Marshall.
I know. Well, look, I won't even. I'll say this: I'm not a lawyer, and I hate the whole world of legal arguments because I just feel like it's outside of the real world, which it is. Look, it's the smart way to keep law and order in society, right? You want to create a battlefield where people aren't actually dying. And so that's the courthouse, and where lawyers battle and duel it out. That's a fight without swords and stuff. And so you don't get blood. Okay, fine. But with that said, I don't like that world much. And so I don't have a real big judgment. And I don't think any of us should have judgments on these guys and their ability to be justices, to do their job, right or wrong, whatever. I don't think we should be looking at that. I think what we should be looking at, though, is more so with these guys is, are they consistent in what they're doing? And do they come down with judgments from the bench that reflect that consistency and reflect what they claim are their values and their beliefs, right? And that's what we have to be able to hold these people to. And I think that's it. With that said, I look at Justice Thomas and I think he's failing his own beliefs, his own everything. I think he's totally failed himself. I think his wife is totally out of line on what's going on there. And yeah, man, it's the world we live in today.
Totally out of line. You're correct. Leave that, the bullhorn and stuff, for activists. Hopefully the bullhorn wouldn't lead them to be charged.
Man. It's ridiculous.
Treason charges or whatever with the bullhorn.
It's ridiculous.
Like what happened to a particular individual that with a bullhorn, trumped up treason charge. But things looking good for
I told you, man.
For her. Things looking good for this judge.
I told you, man.
With 3 Republicans, Romney, Murkowski, I believe, and another
Susan Collins.
Yeah,
man. I told you, man. Look, I'm glad that everything went the way it went, because usually when people see a Black American treated unfairly, that Black American is a victim of something, right? And she was treated unfairly, but she's no victim. She's no victim. She got through this, man, and she just held her head up high. Very, very strong woman. Very proud of her. Very proud of the 3 Republicans who are going to vote for her. I'm sorry, who've already supported her. Man, I'm proud of this situation. It wasn't the cleanest. It wasn't perfect, but you're not going to get that, right? And the opposition is going to be the opposition. The attack dogs like Ted Cruz and these guys, Lindsey Graham, they're going to do what they're going to do, okay, no matter what. But in the end, you can see, even in 2022, when political parties are at their throats, there's war and everything going on, you can see that both parties came together for the confirmation of this black woman here, the first ever. Bro, it's the best. It's great. I love it.
It's the best. It's the great. We'll end on that. Tom, as always, it's always a pleasure to have you on. We'll have you back next Wednesday, where we'll touch on a lot of things. And we do know the boys, those mannish boys, as we say, the mannish puppies, political puppies in Guyana are watching the show. The number one, we know who he is. You have been following them for years. And so let me just say thank you so much for your time, Tom. Anything else quickly you want to say before we go to all of our listeners?
Yeah, I just want to say that, I haven't heard this much. I wanted to come on last week right after the slap with Will Smith, right? But I wanted to say this because it was important, I think, for people to hear. It has to be out there, right? Will Smith, I'm not going to criticize him or whatever, but I will say this. He missed a huge opportunity, and I think all of us can learn a lesson from his situation. Look, words a lot of times can hurt more than a sword, than a bullet. Words can do permanent damage for years and years and years. And so the words that were spoken by Chris Rock, they were painful words that I know that Will Smith, it hurt him to his soul, because if anyone's had a spouse or a partner and they've been sick or ill and they're suffering from something, and you're living with them and you're helping support them, it's tough. It's not easy. And so if you're out publicly and this is a night where you're supposed to be celebrated for something you accomplished, and some clown gets up there to verbally hurt your spouse who you've been through everything with on this illness, yeah, you're going to get real mad. Now, with that said, okay, people say, well, those words that Chris Rock used, they were so hurtful. So that little slap that Will Smith gave, that's nothing. Okay, the little slap, who cares about that? Well, let me just say this, right? Just as words are powerful when it comes to inflicting pain and damage, they're just as powerful when it comes to bestowing love and healing. Okay? And so I think all of us can learn a lesson where Will Smith missed an opportunity. The opportunity he missed was a simple one. When Chris Rock said what he said, Will Smith could have got up out of his seat the same way he did, walked up there the same way he did, but instead of slapping him, what he could have done was taken the microphone and revealed to the world, hey, guys, I'm just going to say this. I'm not happy with what's going on and what's being said right now, because my wife, she's suffering from an illness that causes her to have almost a disfigurement. She doesn't have her hair because of that. That hurts my wife. And so I'm here because I was invited here, but the way I'm being treated right now and the way my wife is being treated, I don't like this. So with that said, me and my wife are leaving. You guys can keep your award show. Goodbye. And he should have left. That would have been way more powerful. That would have been a just response to the attack that him and his wife received from the Academy and from Chris Rock. Because trust me when I tell you, that was an attack on them. But he missed a huge opportunity, and I think all of us should look at that and remember in the future, when we're harmed verbally by someone, that we take that opportunity to verbally give some healing and some love to reverse that harm. because it's real. And when you do it, you accomplish so much more. And I just feel like Will Smith just, well, not only did he not accomplish anything in that moment, but he really hurt a lot of people, including himself, right? So anyway, I want, that's what I wanted to talk about in the moment. But I think people need to hear it, because I think people need to think more about these things, be smart, and realize that words are just as powerful when used for a loving way and when used to build people up. They're very powerful. Use them for that, especially when countering negative, evil words.
All right. Thank you so much, Tom. You know, they seem to have both laughed at it first. They had fun, and then Jada just give him that side eye. We can talk about it. You know, I like Will. I like Will. I think he should not have gone, to that step of slapping or whatever. I like Will. I like Chris Rock as well. They're funny guys. They're good brothers. But I don't know. I don't know what happened. I don't know what Will might be going through. I just don't know. Sometimes
rough,
we don't
man.
know what people are going through internally.
It's rough, man.
But I doubt Chris Rock knew that there was something wrong with Jada and her head. I doubt that. But Tom, thank you so much, though, for your time, man. It's always a pleasure to have you on. It's always a pleasure to speak with you.
Same
Keep
here,
doing
man.
what you're doing, the great work, and keep looking into Guyana. Keep looking in.
It's
Thank
great,
you so
man.
much.
Great to talk to everybody.
Appreciate it.
Have a good night, everyone.
Yeah.
Take care.
Thank you. All right, Tom Anderson there for you guys. He is going to be back next week, Wednesday. Tomorrow, I will have Sharma Solomon. I want Sharma Solomon to come and let's talk about what's happening in Linden. Linden seemed to be up for grab, up for sale. The PPP walking into Linden and doing all manner of things to Linden without any opposition. Did I say that? Yes. The PPP is walking into Linden and doing all manner of things without any opposition at all. Because maybe the now opposition feel as though there's no time for protest. They don't want to protest any longer. So there's no boots on the ground. There's nothing. All manner of excuses. So they have another strategy. They have different plans now, all sort of things. They're going into Parliament maybe by next Wednesday or Thursday. We'll have a new opposition leader in Guyana and 2 new members of Parliament, and things will change just like that. I love you guys. Things will change just like that, right? No protest, no nothing, no standing up for rights. You have the PPP walking into Linden and changing the credit, management of the Lin Mine Electricity Corporation or company or something like that. And then we have the PPP going after the Guyana Public Service Credit Union, all manner of things and no opposition. But recently we saw there was this, some mysterious 22-year-old young lady, accused Lil Do of sending different photographs and all manner of things. And then the AFC was so concerned. They're going to write to the international community. They're going to write for this. They're going to try to do that and all manner of things. But they never said anything that they're going to write to the international community or to Russia or somewhere about a Guyanese that is sitting still in a Russian cell, all because he's a Jehovah's Witness. They're not going to write to international community, and they're not. I don't know. Sometimes I get so fed up with these people. I just want to. I can just take my tie off and dash it away, something like that. That's how I'm fed up with this sort of lack of action of these guys out in Guyana. I'm just so fed up, man. Honestly, I'm so fed up. You guys want to see my fed up face, right? I'm actually fed up with them, man. Fed up. Maybe all of them. I don't know. The parliamentarians are quiet. 95% of them are quiet. Nothing is being done. PPP just running, doing anything all across Guyana. No more boots on the ground. No more this. No more that. Oh gosh. Sometimes I just wonder, with all that's happening, if a third force is going to just pop up just like that, And maybe I just stop wasting my energy and talking and telling these people on the coalition what to do. And maybe, if a third force pops up and that third force looks good, trust me, read between the lines on me and a third force. Trust me, I'm tired of this nonsense. But I've got to go, though. I love you guys. God bless you. We've still got to keep hope alive. Remain optimistic, man. God bless.
This is attorney Shellen Washington, owner and founder of the Washington Law Firm, located at 455 Utica Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. We're specialized in medical malpractice, personal injuries, matrimonial law, and landlord and tenant. If you're in need of legal representation, please give us a call today. The number to call is 718-877-3100. Consultation is free at no cost to you. So call us today to see if we can be of any assistance to your legal needs. Again, the phone number to call us is 718-877-3100.
He's known as the People Shark. When he's not on TV, Damon John is one of
Broka me paketi maya. Timba broka me paketi maya. Oh, timba broka me paketi maya. Oh, timba broka me paketi maya. Oh, timba drapa me hipeti maya. Oh, timba drapa me hipeti maya. Timba, timba, timba ebilo. Timba, timba, timba ebilo. Bana, 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 bana. Timba, timba, timba ebilo. Badaba. Timba, timba, timba ebilo. Oh, timba drapa mi futeti maya. Oh, timba drapa mi futeti maya. Timba Timba drapa mi bucket Maya. Timba drapa mi bucket Maya. Timba twista mi hippety Maya. Timba twista mi hippety Maya. Timba, 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 da do do. Timba, 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 every load. Timba, 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 every load. Timba, timba, timba,